Hello, and welcome back to Joe's Arcade. Coming back after a week hiatus because I lost my voice last week. So, this time around, we're going to be doing some texturing, some light texturing of probably this outlet and a couple of these strips along the edge of the room, and hopefully these lights. I'm going to throw on the music of the video, which is going to be Vulfpeck's Hill Climber. Start that going. And obviously won't be in the video because of copyright and all that good stuff, but there should be a link in the description. There's some good tunes on there. So let's jump into it, shall we? I'd actually start with some of these strips just because I've got the photos up for them, for what those should look like. And I think my approach on these is going to be pretty much to modify some of the existing SketchUp textures to be colorized closer to what I'm looking for. So, kind of with that in mind, let's do this top one here. Looks like kind of a browner version. Ooh, we got something going on here with the view as happens. Oops. Alright. Anyway, got what is going on here? Everything wrong at once, I see. Yeah, browner version of this kind of wood texture here I think should do alright for that. So let's go to the home. This wood bamboo might actually be okay, depending on how well it's not going to be the right color, but that might be a decent pattern. So let's undo that and actually investigate that option a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'll call it, I don't know, top stripping top. And I'm going to make it a little bit browner. And what happens if I just apply that? So that's not bad. Let's go ahead and apply some to this corner, that corner. And this corner, and there's going to be a couple pieces stray here and here. And how does that look? I think that looks pretty decent. That was kind of like a lucky first guess here as for what that should look like. I wonder. Yeah. There's one change that I would maybe like to make to it. So I'm going to click this button and edit. You can edit the image. I'm just going to rotate it. I don't think this actually will have rotated it permanently. I think I need to open it with something else. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to open this thing just with paint. And maybe it did autosave. If that's the case, that would be awesome. Image material file. What have I done here? What have I done? So it would appear that I've created a temp file. Bear with me while I figure this out, I guess. I'm going to copy that over to my Joe's Arcade folder, just so I have it here. It's that wood bamboo medium. And that's what I want to open. And there it is. Make that the right darkness again. Oh, wow. Okay, I thought I had this and then I got a little greedy. And now I'm causing all sorts of problems. Alright. Here we go. Watch this. We're going to delete this texture. It's not going to be pretty. We'll create a new texture. Call it stripping top. Use an image. And we'll grab this bamboo medium, which is not rotated as I would like. So we're gonna figure this out. We'll rotate it again. Now we'll grab it. And it's still not rotated the way I would like. So we'll undo that. We will edit this thing with paint. I'll save it rotated like that. I'm going to edit it here. Oh, please work, please work, please work. Ah, there we go. Alright, all to get that measly grain running in the direction that I want it. But it's a detail thing. Come back in here and reapply this. Not sure why it wasn't going at first there, but sometimes just restarting is the easiest thing to do. Now this is the unedited texture, so I'm going to darken it up a little bit again. And I think that looks just fine. And voila! After about 3 attempts, I actually got that going. Yikes! It seemed like it was going to be simple, and then it really took me for a ride. So these next two have got a little bit of a different texture to them, a little bit more gloss. So I'm going to see what I've got that I think might fit that a little better. It is kind of like a laminate. Although I don't know what Formica is. And I'm not really going to look it up right now. Let's see what we've got for wood too. Because it is, I think, kind of like a wood thing. Yeah. More like a veneer finish, I suppose you could say. So I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to create a new material from it, and I'm going to call it stripping mid. And I'll create another new one, and I'll call it stripping bottom. Now these are at least all close together. And I want to open this guy, this bottom one, with paint here, just to pull the color roughly from it. The screen color, so this looks like kind of an average spot. I'll grab that and let's see what color that is. Now I'll take my bottom stripping and I'm going to set these to be equal. 24, 109. Apparently I'm going to go RGB because I know that's going to work. 206, 174, 125. Let's see how this looks when I apply it. It looks like it might be a little on the light side, but might come out okay. It's a little concerning. Oh, these are not grouped together like the top was. That's why. Just a shade light, but that actually looks pretty good. I think I'll be able to make a slight adjustment to that color and it's going to look just about perfect. So let's go back into it here. And I'll go back to my color wheel because it's easier to make these quick adjustments there. Take it back. RGB, it's almost like it needs to be a little more on the yellow side. Oop, oop, oop. There. That looks nice. I'm going to go with that. So that's 2 of 3 done there. And for my next trick, we will go to this one, which is pretty much the same texture as the bottom one, but it's got more of like a pinkish, like a salmon hue to it almost. Let's open that thing up with paint. Trusty paint. I've heard Microsoft has considered getting rid of it, which would be just a tragedy because it's super handy for this kind of stuff. I want to get somewhere a little lighter, I think, than where I just grabbed. Well, we'll see what this gives me. So my R is 159, G is 103, blue is 70. So if I just kind of apply this, I would say that's looking a little too brownish to me. Needs a little bit more red in it to really look correct. Or whatever this, whatever this is. Not quite that red, I don't think. Maybe a little bit less green? No, not less green. I think that looks pretty good, close to what the picture's showing. Yeah. Gonna go with that. Of course, most of that one will be hidden behind games, but the top will stick out. So it's good to have it looking close, at least, I think. Might be just a little high on the red yet. I'm gonna bring this down to 180. I think that's where it's gonna sit. Trying to make sure I've got nothing selected here. Okay. So I'd say we've got those polished up, looking pretty decent. Obviously we've got most of our outlet textures in here, but I skipped this one real specifically just because there's a lot to do on it. So I'm going to close that and I'm going to pull up my images here, my photos. I've got a picture pretty dead on of that, I think. Right around here, yeah. So, this is what we've got. So there's some color on the side there that I want to get as a texture, and that will just be a color. Let's open that with paint. This will probably come out as like a brownish again. I'm going to create a new color. And I'm going to call it Outlet 6V Casing. We're not going to use a texture image. We're going to just use whatever this spits out at us as a color. And interesting. It looks a little bit odd to me. Let's see what it looks like applied. Definitely needs to be redder or pinker. Maybe is more what I'm looking at. So less green. It's closer to like this color. That's not bad right there. I think I might go with that. And good, I've got the black already behind the outlets themselves. You can see there's like a little bit of an orange light on in there. I'm going to handle that by coming over here to glass and mirrors. I think I want to put a translucent glass texture on that, but make it like an orange is what I'd like to do. So let's call this Outlet 6V Light. And I'm going to just go back to the color wheel for this. Make it kind of like this orange. See, how does that look? Not bad. For what kind of effect I'm going to be able to wrangle out of SketchUp here, I'd say that's pretty good. Might make it a touch redder, but that's about it. So it stands out a little more against that background. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then these portions here, don't actually have a great picture of them. I think they're going to be pretty close to the outlet face colors, which I was just kind of testing there. It's about that. But just for some contrast, I think I might make this like a brownish. And that's probably decent guess for what color it may actually be, if you ask me. So I'll make that like a black with a brown switch there. Okay, so that one I would say is looking ship shape now. Alright, so the last one I want to do is going to be the trickier bit here, and that's going to be these lights up here on the ceiling. I'd like to throw some of the interior light in there. It's going to be easier than what I did for the walls and the ceiling and floor textures just because it doesn't have to tile. It's kind of a one-off thing, and I do have some decent pictures of the lights. Looking through them, I think this is my best one, so I'm going to try to work just off this. And so I'm going to start by copying this thing over to my textures folder. And honestly, I likely am just going to use paint for this, not even bringing it into GIMP, because it should be pretty simple. SketchUp's good about taking irregularly shaped textures. It's part of it, so I'm going to just grab this thing and I will crop it make it, just a little bit smaller. And it is fairly large, so I'm going to scale it down, let's say 60% of the size. That even is, well, pretty big. Let's make this a 512 by whatever. Still pretty large. 400. See how that looks. So scale that down. I will call this overhead light. Let's go ahead and create a new SketchUp texture for that. We are going to use the overhead light texture image. I'm going to accept this default for the moment. And take a second to explore how big it really has to be. I see I've left myself pretty much no space here. So, but anyway, that texture's got to be at least 11 inches wide. So I'm going to start it off at 11 inches, and then I'm going to have to increase the width a little bit because, and I forget exactly how I had done this, but I did it in a smart way, it looks like, because I've got a separate block I should be able to copy once I get one of them in place. So anyway, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make all the sides of this black except for the one that interests me. I'll go ahead and plop that in. And now I'm going to just pretty much adjust this texture until it seems like it looks alright. Again, it doesn't have to tile, so it doesn't have to be the most beautifully done texture job. It just has to look decent. On its own. This is pretty close. Scale that a little bit bigger. This rotation looks alright. It's not quite on, but it's very, very close. And what happens if I click out of the range? How does that look? There. Looks really weird, but if I move it back up 10 inches, remember the lights are off is part of why it's dark. Looks interesting. I will admit I can't say I'm like 100% happy with that, but lights are just a weird thing to texture in general, and this is a different type of light cavity than usually you'd see. One thing I'm going to do as a test here is I'm going to do overhead light on, and just for giggles I'm going to jump in here and I've got a picture of the light on, and let's see what happens if I apply that to this. Whoa. First of all, it looks crazy. Let's make that, I don't really know what I've just done there. I can tell you that the aspect ratio of this thing is not correct. But that's an easy adjustment in theory. So I'm going to focus on getting the length right here. I'm going to edit that. I'm going to delink these. When it's 30 inches, let's make it a whoa. Think that adjustment is going to make this more correct. Ooh. There we go. I can scale it in just that direction too. Let's see. So I think I like the look of the light being on more than the light being off, just because the rest of the room with SketchUp's render engine is looking pretty bright. And I'm not doing renderings with the room, the lights off or anything like that. So I think I'm going to go with this. I just think that looks better. Obviously, I didn't go through my whole paint process, but it seems like this is holding up on its own. Probably would be worth me doing that, though. So I think and again, this is kind of just to keep the file sizes down. And this way I can keep the model a little bit more self-contained. It doesn't have to be around the, if you wanted to recreate it, you don't need that whole photos folder. Struggling to rename this thing here. I'll call this overhead light on. And I'll open that with paint. And crop it. Crop it real good. Resize it. I'll drop that to 512. And we will swap this over to be my overhead light on texture. And I will have to do a little bit of my hard work all over again, but that's a-okay. Some of this distortion is real crazy. But the end result looks pretty nice. Drag that in. Let's see how that looks now. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better than with the light off. So we'll grab that. I think I textured up all the sides of this thing, so let's pull that down. I will make that my black texture. Bam, bam, bam. And I'm going to actually delete that, that, and that. And I'll just copy over this guy. But here, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees so it doesn't look quite as uniform. Now we can come in and, it's not the same repeated thing of a light as obviously. And there we go. We've got ourselves a whole batch of additional textures. In fact, everything in the room is textured. There's one or two more details to add here. Both modeling and texture wise before the games can all get moved in. So, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Modeling Joe's Arcade. Bye-bye. Let me move this to a little fancier position to show off what has been done here. And for a thumbnail. Alright, talk to you folks later. Bye.